Greetings everyone, good evening. This is KamishaRa from KamishaRa's Creative Corner, and I just wanted to talk a little bit before I turned in for the night because it's really late and I'm dead. So I'm getting ready for my shut-eye, but I had a really interesting conversation with Instagrammer today. So I wanted to do a little soap talk. So welcome to Soap Talk in the middle of the night. Midnight Soap Talk. That's what I'm calling it right now because it's after midnight and I'm talking about soap. Only a soaper will talk about soap after midnight. Just to let you know. So, I was, what was the conversation about? I can't remember how it started, but she was asking me about my soaps and my bases. So she said, what kind of base do you use? Do you use glycerin? And I was like, oh, no glycerin for me. I used to use glycerin, but I was like, no glycerin for me. And she asked a comment like, what's wrong with glycerin? And so I was like, oh, no, there's nothing wrong with glycerin. It's just that, if, say I was a cake baker and that's what I did, and, I wouldn't start making cake with the box. I'm gonna, start from scratch. I said, I like making my soaps from scratch. I said using a glycerin base is kind of like, making cake from a box as opposed to making it from scratch. I said I like to be able to control, all aspects of the soap making process. So she followed up with a question and she said, well, do you use lye? And when she asked that question, I realized like, oh, okay, so there's an opportunity for me to, do what I do, which is teach, because I'm like teacher by nature and I love to teach. So I have an opportunity to do a little bit of what I do and teach and give a little bit more education, because I realized like anyone who is like serious about soap making, I shouldn't say serious about soap making, but anyone who's a soap maker who makes soap will know that, they would never ask that question. They would never ask you, do you use lye? So I was like, well, yes, I use lye. And she says, she was a little confused about, so, well, I don't understand, what kind of base do you make, because my response to her asking me about the base that I use was like, I use whatever I want, because when you're making soap from scratch, that's what you have the opportunity to do. You have that freedom to use whatever you want as your base. You don't have to work with a preset base, which is what a glycerin-based soap is. It's a preset base. And so I just decided to take this opportunity to do a little soap talk about soap making. And I'm going to start off just by saying there is no lye in soap, but you can't make soap without lye. And there are some companies that I realize that are out there that are using like an advertising technique to say, oh, you can purchase our soap. I don't know how they advertise it, but they definitely say no lye soap. They're like pushing like this no lye soap, and it's not accurate, because if there's a no lye soap out there, then it's soap that's already made. If you're making soap, you have to use lye. You have to use lye. That's just the process of making soap. You take the lye, you mix it with your base of oils, and that together creates that chemical reaction, that saponification process where soap is made. So when there are companies that want to push their product, they may say, oh, no harsh chemicals, no lye. And that's because the soap is already made. And what they're really doing is not making soap, but they're designing soap. They're redesigning it. They're taking the soap, and that soap goes by two different names. Sometimes they call it glycerin base, sometimes they call it melt and pour. But that's what it is. It's a melt and pour. It's a soap that's already made that you melt down, and they call it melt and pour because you can pour it into the mold so that you can create a new soap that's designed nicely. Usually those bases are just either a clear base or a white base. So you can color it, you can scent it, you can add ingredients like clays and I don't know if you might want to put too much fruit pulps in it, because the soap really is already made, but you can incorporate other things in the soap and then you can design it really, really nicely. And I used to do that. I used to do melt and pour. I used to do soap design. And it's fun. It's a way of making soap that is a little bit, is a little, yeah, it is easier. It's a lot easier because you don't have to actually add all the ingredients and do all the weighing and all that other stuff yourself. It's really done for you, and it's just designing. But even that, to design a really nice soap with a lot of different intricate designs can be a little challenging too. So that's why I kind of like, it's easier. Well, it could be easier, but then depending on your design, it could actually be harder. So so that's, that's just, it depends on what you're doing with the soap, whether or not it can be easier or whether it cannot. But I just want to come on here and talk about soap because I like the idea of having this forum where I can utilize one of my passions, which is the passion of two of my passions, the passion for soap making, and excuse my sniffing, and my passion for being able to teach and educate people, and being able to take their education level from one place to another. I like learning, and I like being able to teach. When I know something and someone else maybe doesn't know as much, then I have an opportunity to teach them. And when someone else knows more than me, they have that opportunity to teach me. So I like being in both positions, being in a position where I can learn something new, and being in a position where I can teach someone else who doesn't know what I know. So right now I'm in a position where I can share a little bit of what I know with everyone else. I wouldn't consider myself an expert soap maker, but I'm definitely consider myself to be an experienced soap maker. And I've been making soap for maybe about 7 years now. So yeah, I would say I'm an experienced soap maker. And this information is actually really, really basic. These are some of the first things that you learn. If you're going to make soap, you have to use lye. But there's no lye in properly made soap. If you make the soap properly, in the end, there's no lye. So there are no harsh chemicals in soap. It's just the actual soap. But you need the lye in order for the soap to be made. So you can't have soap without lye. So when you have companies, if you're interested in getting into making soap and you see any of those advertisements or any companies out there that are saying, oh, you can make soap without lye, understand that they're not really saying that. Well, they may be saying that you can make soap without lye, but it's not accurate. It's not truthful information. It's not 100% truthful information. It's because you're not making the soap. The soap is actually already made. So if you want to make soap, you have to use lye. But the great thing about it is you have an opportunity to, one, educate yourself on how to use it safely and how to use it properly, so that in the end, when you finish making your product, you actually have soap and you don't have an excess of lye in your soap, which can happen if you don't make soap properly. So there are dangers with using lye because it's a caustic material. So it's just about educating yourself. But in the end, there's no lye in soap, not if it's made properly. So you don't have to worry about, oh, well, I'm putting something harsh in my body, when it actually isn't. There are actually some melt and pour or glycerin based soaps that are harsh, and because they use surfactants, and surfactants are detergents, which can be harsh on your skin and harsh for your body, and it can cause your skin to be actually drier than if you use a soap that's actually just soap, that's real soap. Because with time, when the soap goes through the cure process, because after you make soap it has to cure, and during that cure process the soap is drying out, the excess water is drying out, and the soap becomes more milder. So the longer the cure, the milder it can get. So like if you think of a Castile soap, Um, that's a soap that's made with 100% olive oil. You know, that soap takes a long time for it to cure. It's like a 6 to 8 month process, but is a very, very good conditioning. It's a highly conditioning soap for your skin, and it's very mild. You know, it doesn't have any harsh chemicals in it unless you add those things to it. Because you can make soap that is natural, which can also is also, when you think about it, it's like, can you really have call soap natural? Because you're not going to go in nature and find soap. It's, you know, you have to make it. A person, a man, has to make soap. You know, it's a man-made. So it has to be made. It's not something that you're going to go out in nature and say, oh yeah, I found this soap. There are plants like soapwort that has saponins in it, but it's not the same thing as soap. You could use it to wash, and people use it to wash their hair and stuff like that, but it's not the same like a regular bar soap. You're not going to go out into nature and find any liquid soap or any bar soap. So that has to be made, and it's a process. And you do use a caustic material. It's called sodium hydroxide to make a bar soap, potassium hydroxide to make a liquid soap. Sometimes it's called potash or potash that they use to make like the African back soaps, which is still all, it's just different forms of lye. It's all lye. It's just different forms of lye. And the form of lye that you use is going to give you the type of soap that you're making. So I'm not going to stay on here too long, but I just kind of wanted to give you that little bit of information. Plus it's late and I'm dead tired, and I really would like to go to bed. But I wanted to do a little soap talk and give you something to think about. We are still working, or I shouldn't say we, I am still working on some of my interviewers, so look forward for my upcoming interview with one of my youth entrepreneurs. She's a jewelry maker, and oh, how old is she? Well, I'm gonna let her introduce herself when she does the interview. Young lady. She just started making jewelry, and she actually has some really interesting and nice combination of colors and beads that I thought was like, wow, she has an eye for this. This is really cool. So I'm going to be interviewing her and spotlighting her and giving her some advertising and some notoriety, so people can start to look at what she does. I don't think she has a website yet, but hopefully I'm going to encourage her to get an Etsy shop, because that's like a real inexpensive way where someone who's just starting out can have like a website, and it not cost a lot, and they can, like, you know, get started and let people know this is what I have, and you can purchase it if you want to. So look forward for that in the coming weeks, because she's an amazing artist, and she's an up-and-comer, and I want you guys to support her the same way you are supporting me, and we support each other. So thank you. If you appreciate the information that I've shared with you, then please like this video, share it with your network. If you haven't already subscribed, please do press that subscribe button. And if you haven't, ring that notification bell, because every time I upload a video, you're going to get a notification that says, oh, she just shared some more new dynamic information with you. She just shared her passion with you. So, yeah, push that notification button, subscribe, like, and do comment. I was really appreciating the questions that this sister from Instagram was putting on the Instagram page, because, you know, allowed me to engage with some of my audience, which is always a good thing. And it allowed me to, you know, she gave me an opportunity to do what I do, which is talk about soap and educate and give a little more education. So I don't want to shout out her name because I don't know if she wants me to do that. So if you're watching, you know who you are. I thank you. And if you're watching and you want to shout yourself out, by all means, say, it was me. I'm the one who asked all those questions. I'm the one who engaged her. I'm the one who inspired this little soap talk. And you can do that. I'll let her do that on her own if she wishes. But I am signing off. Just remember, there is no lye in well-made soap, but you cannot make soap without lye. Okay? So thank you for watching. Like, subscribe, comment, and share. Hit the notification bell, and I will see you on the next video. Good night.